Hey, this is Grif,
And this is huge.
and we're the professionals. And what we're going to do today is we're going to talk about Dark Souls series, and the main topic will be the assumption that the game as a whole is difficult. All three games are difficult or hard. Now, we both played all three games, Dark Souls, Dark Souls 2, and Demon Souls, the prequel to both. And so we've played them enough, I'd say extensively enough that we're educated on the matter. So, the number one thing that we get when we talk to people that have never played the series or have played the series is that, oh, this game is too hard or this game is too difficult, I don't want to play it. And so we're going to be discussing a little bit about that and some in-depth conversation about different aspects of the game. So, what was your first impression when you started up Dark Souls and Demon Souls?
Well, see, I actually started off with Demon Souls, where I didn't have a PS3 when, or Dark Souls, I'm sorry. I didn't have a PS3 when Demon Souls came out, so I never got to experience it until later. But
Right.
my first impression of Dark Souls was no.
Right. I started Demon Souls. I don't remember how. I think I was in GameStop, and I said this looks awesome and tried it, and I made some mistakes early on, but we'll get to the mistakes that people make later on. Dark Souls was almost the same. I remember starting, and within 3 days after buying it brand new, I went to GameStop and asked for a strategy guide. The real thing is it's not hard. It's not difficult per se. What I believe personally, the game takes more patience than most games we play. Call of Duty, Battlefield, even sports games or say Final Fantasy. You jump right in.
You could even go in with your hack and slash type games, like the new Devil May Cry reboot.
Right.
It throws you in, quick tutorial, as you get your weapons, you're good to go. Nothing in the game is really hard. You just smash until it dies.
Or even like your Grand Theft Autos, your Lego games, stuff like that. Whereas Dark Souls, Demon Souls, you pick your character, which, not being new to the series, you don't know what the stats. I mean, you think, maybe if you've played RPGs in the past, or like Dungeons and Dragons or the such, you're like, I get a little bit of an idea what this does, but you don't really know. And you start out, and it's just a whole new experience. And
Right.
what I always likened Dark Souls to, because Dark Souls 1 was the one that I'm attached to the most. But once I got the hang of it, I always compared it to the Ninja Gaiden Black series, where you're this ninja, cool, but all it takes is you messing up or going in arrogant, and you're done. And
Exactly.
so patience. It's not so much the game's hard, but it requires patience and a little bit of observation.
I would say quite a bit of observation.
Oh yeah, tons of it.
Like my first encounter, everyone does. You go through the hall. Most people don't even notice there is the Asylum Demon's big badass brother down there. If you just look over to the right, didn't notice it till like my third or fourth playthrough.
Right.
You go through, you find the huge room. You're like, okay, well, there's a door. Obviously, I go through this door where the Asylum Demon then drops down. And I did what everyone did. You try to fight him. Tried to fight him and get annihilated.
Mm-hmm.
All of that could have been avoided if when I walked in or before I walked in, I observed. If you do, you can clearly see him on the roof, and you clearly see a door to the left.
What's funny about that, Demon Souls, you start off, you go through, it's not as extensive of a tutorial as one would hope for the style of game, but there's signs on the floor that tell you R1 does this, R2 does this, and it kind of guides you through this almost prison-like area in Demon Souls. And then you get to this room, and you get to what everyone assumes is the precursor to the Asylum Demon. It looks almost the same with really bad graphical downgrades, because, Demon Souls came out in, I think, 2009?
That sounds about right, yeah.
But, so it's obviously very, very unrefined compared to the Dark Souls. But the demon in Demon Souls at the end of the tutorial, it's one of those where most people don't expect you to beat it. So, playing Dark Souls, I get to the guy, and I'm like, I'm not really going to try to fight him because I know it's futile. And then he smashes you, and you're dead but you're still in the undead asylum. And I was like, wait, hold on. Whoa, what's this? So it did require a whole different look on it as opposed from Demon Souls. So, we don't consider the game hard. I've platinumed Dark Souls. Huge is platinum Dark Souls. I didn't platinum Demon Souls just because I was helping others with Dark Souls, and obviously I haven't platinum Dark Souls 2 yet. Something we're working towards. But it's not Call of Duty, it's not Battlefield, it's not these other games where you can't just jump in and instantly know how to play. You have to find your style. So
right. It really
go ahead.
Reminds me of like old NES Castlevania.
Oh, good Lord.
There's a good chance you're gonna die a lot, but
it's expected.
Right, but if you really pay attention to enemy patterns, the way they attack, you can dodge anything.
Right.
Like, the dodge mechanic is beautiful in the game. You can dodge anything. Actually, it's broken. You can dodge anything.
Right.
You just have to learn the patterns.
And dodging, something we'll touch upon a little bit later, but it's a lot of the mistakes that people make. We'll jump right into that, since initial mistakes people make when they're playing the game, they just rush right in. Dark Souls, Demon Souls, Dark Souls 2. I'll admit, I thought after playing Dark Souls 1 and platinuming it, I threw in Dark Souls 2, did the patch, jumped right in. I thought, I know enough about the overall play, I'm going to just run through and smack stuff, and I got to the part in Things Betwixt where there's the two ogres down by the beach, and I was like, okay, well, I've obviously got, I went with the Dex build with the 2+1 weapons, and I was like, I know enough about how this game works. I've already swung my swords a little bit. Went to attack him, and the dude just fell on me, and I died. And so exactly. I was like, man, this is going to be a whole new experience. But what was the first moment in Dark Souls? Because I don't remember. I was playing with you. What was your first huge mistake that you remember making?
Well, my first huge mistake would have been in 2011 when I first played the game. And it was... didn't pay attention. Went straight to catacombs.
Everybody that I've talked to does that. Oh.
No, I talked to the guy. I talked to the Crestfallen Warrior. Spammed through his dialogue as quick as I could. Didn't give me an item. Said, fuck you. I'm done.
Get the hell out of here.
I'm gonna go this way. Yeah, I'm gonna go this way. I was like, okay, there's skeletons. What should I do? I learned how to parry. I'll parry him. Sweet, parry. Stab him. No damage. I'm like, okay, this guy's a little rough. I knew this game was hard, but shit, it shouldn't be this hard.
Do you remember what class you started?
I believe I started as the knight the first playthrough.
Okay.
Because I remember doing the mid-roll.
Mid-roll. Okay. That wasn't my first, to my mind, that wasn't my first mistake. It was the first thing that I did loading into the game.
Right.
I'm trying to remember. I think my first mistake was when you go through the Undead Burg in the first Black Knight.
Mm-hmm.
Demon Souls had blue-eyed knights and red-eyed knights, I think. I can't remember if they were
blue-eyed
knights, but they had red-eyed knights, and they were aggressive, but they also had some line of coding where once you're so far away, as long as you don't shoot an arrow, they'll just back away, even if they're locked onto you. And there's an area in the first world of Demon Souls where there is such a red-eyed knight guarding a tomb, where that's pretty much the early game strategy. You hit him once with something, he'll back off. You hit him, you whittle him down. So I thought,
cheese it.
I can do that with this guy. I throw something at him, and he runs as I'm backing up the stairs, and all of a sudden, I think he has a sword. He's just wham. And I was like, what? I'm far away from you. Why are you still chasing me? So my first big mistake was running after him. But, you hit the main one that a lot of people do, which is, it's an open world, but I'm going to go explore over here because it looks like a graveyard. And then the skeletons pop up.
Yep.
Another big one, and this is playing with a couple people that I've helped along the way, is they don't know what the stats are. And this kind of ties, and this works, like I said, for all three too. The it ties into our next topic as well, in that you don't know what your stats are when you first play. You might have, strength obviously makes your weapon hit harder, whereas dex makes different weapons hit harder, and this, that. So you start throwing stats into what you think sound right. And I remember my first character started off as a warrior, found a halberd, and for whatever reason, cranked my dex up before I started, raising other stats. Now, granted, when it comes to Dark Souls 1, I don't really do New Game Plus, because I do everything I do in one playthrough, and then I'm kind of bored doing New Game Plus. But I remember my first thing with all of the character building. You don't really know what your stats that you're going to put into unless somebody takes you to the, by the hand pretty much, or unless you have the guide. And I had the most retarded, spread out stat build. I medium rolled. I wore I think it's called the black iron armor that you get for
you
the
had the
painting.
black iron armor +5. I remember that.
Yeah. Well, that build was even later than this one, and I fat rolled. I didn't care because PvP in the beginning wasn't too big, but for me, I never got past Quelaag by myself till a person, which I want to give a shout out to him, even though he'll never watch this. Gut Truck actually said, "Oh, you play Dark Souls?" And I said, "No, because I fucking hate this game." And he said, "Let me help you." And with him, that was the first time I beat the game, was with his help. But my first build was that Quelaag, or the post Quelaag with him, but it was, he liked claymores, and I didn't like claymores. I like katanas, but didn't know where to get it, so I ran with a halberd, the black iron armor, and fat rolled all kinds of retarded stuff. I think you had it a little bit easier.
Slightly, except I really didn't know what I was doing with stats. I just knew this gives me health, this lets me hit hard, this lets me block.
Right. Basic, almost D&D-esque stats.
Right. I think I had a little bit of faith so I could heal myself.
Right.
And throw maybe a spear or two.
That's one of the balance things, is that everybody wants faith for the heal spell.
Yeah.
And then from the heal spell, you're like, not only do I want heal, I want, homeward.
Homeward.
And then
very
you
useful.
want lightning. And so it's just a pitfall of faith. But as you start playing, you get this sense, or like us, you go to YouTube and the internet forums, and you learn to the point where nowadays, when it comes to Dark Souls and Dark Souls 2, we almost know exactly where our stats want to go throughout the first playthrough.
Right.
And more Dark Souls 1, obviously, than Dark Souls 2. I've almost completed a New Game Plus playthrough, and I'm still kind of like, I'll go to Emerald Maiden, and I'll look at her, and I'll be like, maybe you should tell me what I should put my stat points in.
Me?
She doesn't.
No.
She's
Yeah.
like, no, I'm just here to guide you. And I was like, that's a guide. But now,
Yeah, exactly. I'm here to guide you. Well, how should I spec? Well, I'm not guiding you that far.
It's like, come on now. Look at my coat. It's nice. It's fluffy. But, like I said, though, nowadays, if we put in Dark Souls, we can get to where I know what I'm going to do. You know what you're going to do. We know how much intelligence we need for this spell, or how high. And then kind of also takes into consideration for the diminishing returns, where Dark Souls 2, we're still kind of feeling it out because, it's new territory, and while somebody says this is diminishing returns for this, you still kind of want to feel it out for yourself. Dark Souls 1, we've already done that.
Right.
So, like,
Dark Souls 2 is a lot more convoluted, I think, as far as stats go. You end up a lot higher level than you think you would.
Right, and it's not just because of adaptability.
Right, it's just a whole new system.
It's also intelligence scales, what was it, fire damage?
Yeah, fire damage.
And then faith scales like dark or something. So, like, the stats interconnect a lot more than they did before. So, whereas, like, when we first started playing Dark Souls 2, I had the dex build character, I still needed strength because you can't just have just strength for most of your weapons and just dex for your weapons. You need both now. And then,
Right.
not so much for the armor, but like your spells, you have the hexes and you have the pyromancies, which hexes require both. Pyromancies technically require neither, but they both get boosts from intelligence and faith and attunement and adaptability. So, leads right into magic, where magic as a whole, when I first started playing Dark Souls, I didn't even touch Demon Souls magic at all until after I had Platinum Dark Souls. But
Right.
I was like, I had heal and homeward. What else do I need? I'm this, badass warrior who two hands and destroys. You were actually the first person that really, really delved into magic in my realm of people that I discussed Dark Souls with.
Right, which was very interesting, especially in the first Dark Souls. Put simply, it's semi-broken. You really highly suggest still using a weapon. Great size, actually, is the weapon. Dark Souls 2, bit harder to use magic. You absolutely have to bring weapons. You need a little strength, little dex.
Go ahead and tell them how your Dark Souls 2 experience got, how far you got using magic.
Oh, I did fine until I got to Sinner.
It was? Yeah, it was Sinner.
Yeah, well, that was I got past him, but
eventually.
Yeah,
I remember
it was not fun.
You were doing Sinner when I was doing...
rather.
Yeah. You were doing Sinner at the same time I was doing Gargoyles. And then you came and you were like, dude, what are you talking about? Gargoyles, I'll beat them. Well, I looked it up. Gargoyles are weak to magic, of course. Not fire, not lightning, magic. So,
yeah, I went through them like paper mache. They were nothing.
Right.
So I was like, man, they're no problem. Like, I'm gonna fight this Sinner cat. This, I'll plow through this like I've been doing everyone else. Wrong.
I can't find him. What do you mean you can't find him? Where'd your lock-on go? Well, she jumped over me, and now I can't find her.
Yeah, and then next thing I know, gigantic sword to the back. I'm dead.
Whereas in Dark Souls 1, the only real hard fights that magic didn't 100% swamp you was obviously Four Kings. And
right.
I don't remember my sorcery playthrough, but I think Seath. You could sit there and spam soul arrows at him, but you still want somebody else there.
Seath was... I don't remember having a problem with Seath. But, he kind of, ow, my arm fell off, so...
Yeah. So, a lot of people say magic, and I don't know that there is, quote-unquote, an easy mode to the series. Because by the time I played with magic, I was already versed in the way of the whole dodging and not being over-encumbered. But I don't consider it easy mode because you can't just tell somebody, yeah, go be a cleric, go be a sorcerer, go be a pyromancer right off the bat and expect them to win the game.
Right. Like, magic, it makes it a lot easier as far as boss battles. Everything else, it is a very sharp learning curve of how to dodge.
Right. And also for... really, Dark Souls 1 only, in my opinion, but when to use your spells.
Yeah, and which spells work best against what.
Because you don't want to be casting Great Heavy Soul Arrow on faster mobs. But the reason I say that is, at first, when we started playing Dark Souls 2, it kind of felt the same way. You have to be very, very selective when you cast your spells. But I've noticed there is a more than liberal amount of the magic restoration herbs, the Twilight herbs and Amber herbs and what have you. Whereas in Dark Souls, you have to touch a bonfire or complete somebody's summon. And in Demon Souls, I think there was even kind of the same thing, but there was also a ring that... In Demon Souls, you had the mana bar, and every spell just cost mana. whereas they took that away and gave you certain casts per spell, which I'm biased because I would rather have a mana bar, but at the same time, I'm also biased because they also gave you a ring that restored your MP over time.
Right. And see, for me personally, I would have preferred a reagent system. It would have been a lot harder, but it would have been a lot cooler and added more of a challenge to it, to where you would have to split spec more.
Right. But I mean, overall, I haven't done it too much in Dark Souls 2 because of how you said at times you were struggling with it. But Dark Souls 1, I wouldn't say start off with the Magician for your first couple playthroughs because it ruins the game for you almost.
Yeah.
I mean, now when I go through my playthrough, I go Dex build, get Power Within, the unholy trinity of boosting damage, and that's I use Lightning Spear maybe, but other than that, I don't use magic as much. Where Demon Souls, I don't even remember what the spells were.
I mean, they're pretty much the same all the way across
no
the
Power
board.
Within.
No, but you didn't need it either.
Right.
It just took a little longer, but you could cast forever.
Good Lord, some of the bosses in Demon Souls. But
Mm-hmm.
I mean, magic wasn't really an easy mode. It just, like you said, it's easy for some of the boss battles, and it makes walking through an area almost cakewalk because you walk through, you cast a couple of soul arrows. I noticed it more in Dark Souls 2. They put their shield up more, but
Right.
not as much in Dark Souls 1 and Demon Souls where you can just throw it around. So.
Yeah, and in Dark Souls 2, you gotta bait out attacks a little more if you're gonna use magics, or strictly magic. I would really suggest if you are, hit a couple spells, smack them down with the sword. That way you're not burning out too many spells, and you're not burning up your sword that you get to repair every 10 swings.
Speaking of repair, that's the biggest, I feel. That's the one, well, not the biggest, but maybe one of the largest game changers as opposed to Demon Souls and Dark Souls 1 is the degradation rate. Even with the knuckle that reduces how fast they degrade, you still have to be kind of careful. You can't, especially I think it was No Man's Wharf. You can't kill everything in the area and expect your weapon to still be in good condition for the boss fight.
Right. It forces you to either have two weapons that are equally leveled, or burn through one of your very, very precious repair powders.
I think you get around 10 in a single playthrough.
Yeah, at that point, I think you have one, maybe two.
Yeah, I think I had 3, but I don't remember.
It kind of depends on which way you go about.
And it doesn't even, repair powder doesn't even repair it all the way. I think it puts it I don't remember. I know we were walking onto the dock to go fight Flexible Sentry, and I just killed one of the guys hanging off, and it said, warning, your weapon is at risk. And I was like, alright, I'll just pop a repair powder since I don't want to run all the way back to the bonfire. And I didn't have any other weapons, and I remember it put it up to half, and I was like, that's not going to be enough for the boss fight. And it's just man, and it's really only in No Man's Wharf that you feel this sense of mob ratio to degradation of weapons that's almost overwhelming. Because there's too many mobs in No Man's Wharf that you can't kill without, or that you can just avoid without them chasing you. And I think that adds a whole level of difficulty to it alone because, there's a whole, you sit at a bonfire, it automatically repairs, but every time you sit at a bonfire, it just respawns the enemy, so you're at this impasse. Do I, like you said, use my repair powder, or do I go back to the bonfire?
Right.
I mean, there's the option, I think the repair, I have the repair weapon skill, or repair weapon sorcery. But even that, like I said, it's almost the same as repair powder. You get 2 casts, and it only repairs it up to a certain amount.
That, and then you're wasting one of your attunement slots.
Right, and like I said, you only get 2, so it's very... No Man's Wharf is probably one of the few areas that I would say definitely carry that if you have it.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, there are ways around it. You can go to the area, two, three, four times, learn where you can run and not run to without pulling aggro to this guy or that guy, so you can avoid enemies. But if it's your first time through No Man's Wharf, you definitely want to clear it out.
especially for all the hidden stuff. I
Exactly.
mean, if you have the time and you have the patience, you could always just wipe everything out. But to date, I don't know if there's a set number or how many times you have to kill certain mobs to do it. But that's
Yeah,
definitely one of the things that you can. It's an option, but I don't present it as a viable one.
I believe when I was going to do Smelter Demon, which that's all I'm going to say about Smelter Demon.
Favorite boss
Uh,
ever?
yeah, I think it was around 10 to 15 times I had to kill enemies to clear out the area, or to where they would not respawn.
Right, and I remember exploring Sinner's Rise, trying to get the Straight. I already knew I needed the Fragrant Branch, so it wasn't the first time. Um, but it also, it was Sinner's Rise. Is it Sinner's Rise where you go north? Yeah, you go to Sinner's Rise to rescue Straight, don't you?
It's right before Sinner's Rise.
Well, it was that area. I remember because of the exploding guys, and your first playthrough, you don't really know quite how to deal with them. I didn't know how to
Right.
deal with them, and so I got to the point where going through that area, they started to despawn because I was afraid to rescue him. There's like one or two that sit off to the wall, and they don't really bother you unless you mess with them. But I was so concerned with I'm gonna wake him up, and like the pyromancer lady, she backs off away from you across the room, and I was like, oh man, if I don't kill them all, they're gonna blow up. He's gonna die, and then I'm gonna be pissed off.
Yeah.
So like it took me, I'd say a better part of an hour before even one of them started to fade.
Wow. And
So
it's also a lot of leg room in that area.
yeah, a lot of leg room, a lot of going slow.
Exactly.
Dark Souls patch will be released on the 11th, which
Nice.
is what I can't count. Oh well. So, is there anything else that you want to add on the difficulty versus hard mode versus what we consider it not being necessarily a hard game, but just one that requires patience?
Yeah, just really want to reiterate the fact the game. There are a couple spots only in Dark Souls 2 that I don't agree with as far as level design. One would be in Smelter's area. There's a key right in the beginning of it that
Under the fire.
I mean, you can boost your fire resistance if you want, use some items, whatever, but it's almost as if they intend, like, you have to die to get this key. There's no other option. I
Right.
really don't agree with that.
Personally, my area that I would vote for terrible level design is Belfry Luna because of the you get invaded whether you're alive or dead. There's a covenant that's meant to guard the Belfry, so once you step into that area, I'd say 75% chance you're going to get invaded. And it happens so fast, it's almost like the Forest and the Forest Covenant in Dark Souls 1, where it happens so fast that before you realize it, you have two invading people coming after you. And what's bad about the area is, I don't know if it's the servers or they're working it out, but it seems like it takes forever to summon somebody, but it takes no time at all for them to invade. And so
Right.
my biggest issue with the area is you don't want to fight the gargoyles by yourself, and it's multiple gargoyles at a time. It's almost
Multiple.
never one. So I think that level design is kind of flawed because you have to almost always go through at least two invaders to get to the boss. You very rarely will get a summon sign in time to get through the invaders before they team up on you. And then, if you do manage to A, summon somebody, B, survive the invaders, C, throw a switch covered by little marionette midgets, which there's only about 5, I think, up on the roof of it. But if you do manage, you start off on the fight against multiple gargoyles, and I don't know how long it took me to complete Belfry Soul. I think the only redeeming factor about it is that it's a optional area.
Right. But you do want to do it because you want the key you get afterwards.
I don't even remember the key.
It's the Bastille key.
Vogel.
It opens up some areas. The thing I didn't like, though, about that is when you go down to get said key, you have, 7 dogs on you and an invader?
5 dogs, I think. And then there's one on the stairs. And then Vogel, or Vorgel.
Right. And it's a very long ladder as far as ladders go. To where you cannot snipe them from the top if you're a straight magic user.
You can't drop shot.
Cannot drop shot, it will kill you. So you have to fight them, which is no problem. But as a straight magic user, bit rough. And I just was not a fan of that design, just to make it hard by not being able to use tactics that every game has taught you thus far.
Right.
So
this wraps it up. The main thing I want people to pull from this is that, and the main reason we're sitting down talking about it, is we've had several friends either completely swear off Dark Souls, which, I'll be honest, I did with Dark Souls and Demon Souls at first. But it's not a game that you can just pick up. You have to invest a little bit of time. You have to invest a little bit of patience. You have to invest a little bit of understanding the mechanics. But I can easily say, if Dark Souls 1 is not my favorite game of all time, it's one of my top 3 favorite games of all time. And
absolutely.
I think the main thing about the series is once you get everything down, once you've beaten the game on a playthrough, you get such a sense of accomplishment. I remember beating Gwyn, doing whatever ending I chose, and I was just like, I feel like a man.
Exactly.
And I'm not saying, if you can't beat Dark Souls, it doesn't make you a man, but it certainly puts hair on your chest.
Yeah, and other unmentionable areas.
Alright, so once again, this is Grif.
I'm Huge.
We're the professionals. Thank you for listening.